Hi, I'm Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of Regalytics, and I'm still here in Montana living the dream. Welcome to this week's Regulatory Roundup. There were actually quite a few interesting alerts this week out of the 5,629 that we tracked, but I can't cover all of them, so you're going to have to get your own subscription, or better yet, join us on April 28th at noon Eastern for the first of our live regulatory webinars with yours truly. I'm going to be doing deep dives on hot topics like cybersecurity regs, Russia, Ukraine, and more. Even more fun, it's interactive, and I can answer your questions directly. So sign up on the link in the comments. The regulator of the week is the U.S. Department of Justice. Big news from ATF, which is the Justice Department's Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, issued a proposed rule to curb the proliferation of ghost guns, which we've discussed here before, but they are privately made firearms that are increasingly being found at crime scenes across the United States. Also this week, the DOJ announced the seizure of one of the world's largest hacker forums, which was a popular marketplace for cybercriminals to buy and sell hacked data. Another interesting DOJ alert this week, a U.S. citizen was sentenced to prison and a fine for providing cryptocurrency consulting services to individuals in North Korea. Seriously, one more time, everyone, it doesn't matter what kind of business you're doing. If you have any business transaction, even selling a cupcake for someone in a sanctioned country like Russia or North Korea, the DOJ has a very specific set of skills. They will hunt you, they will find you. The topic of the week is equity action plans. On his first day in office, President Biden signed an executive order that directed the whole of the federal government to focus on equity and racial justice. This week, more than 90 federal agencies released their first ever equity action plans that will focus on preventing discrimination. For those of you following climate, California is at it again, as they have always been unwaveringly for years now, pumping out rule after rule after rule on climate change. And this week, the California Department of Insurance released a massive study of insurance companies identifying how exposed the industry is to fossil fuels. Spoiler alert, while the purchase of green bonds have gone up, it pales in comparison to how much has been invested in the not great stuff. Consumers can go to the website, type in their company, and voila, I did it. It makes you realize where your money sleeps at night. Also this week, the Department of Labor announced the first ever focus on heat safety. OSHA will be conducting inspections to ensure workers are not suffering heat hate to the extreme. Moving on to crypto, California released a money transmission license letter, which is where it basically describes a crypto-related business and determines whether it requires the entity to register for a money transmission license in the state. This particular company escaped because it did not retain stored value of the crypto in its business model. Also in crypto, Missouri is proposing a bill that would include crypto assets in its money laundering rules and regulations. Moving on to cyber, Kentucky passed a new law under the Securities Act, which requires investment advisors registered in Kentucky to develop and implement written business continuity plans and cybersecurity plans. Speaking of cyber rules, the Fed, FDIC, and OCC are hosting an Ask My Regulator on April 28th to discuss the new cyber reporting requirements. So you can come to my webinar at noon, ask all the questions you want so you feel informed, and then you can sound really smart when you talk to the regulators an hour later. This week, the FTC busted its first company for violations of the Made in the USA rule. A battery company claimed to be American-made when all of its products were actually manufactured in China. One other crazy case that I don't even understand came from the Texas State Securities Board, where some online metaverse was busted for a casino racket with gambler NFTs. Seriously, do not understand it, but it was another classically funny headline. Quote, "What happens in the metaverse doesn't stay in the metaverse." And hey man, it's 420 today, so we have to have a weed feed update. 1, Michigan reorganized its cannabis governance So the new regulator in charge of processing, distributing, and selling hemp is the CRA, or the Cannabis Regulatory Agency. And the Michigan Department of Agricultural and Rural Development will continue to oversee hemp cultivation. Also, surprise! Cannabis dispensary workers in Illinois decided to unionize. That's it this week for Regulalytics, because it's time for me to go shred some fresh powder. And don't forget, Regulalytics has the most comprehensive, coherent, and customizable regulatory alerts tool in the world. Come, in fact, next Thursday and see how company after company is transforming their compliance with this kind of transparency. See you next Wednesday.